So Cracker Barrel is in the news lately, and not for the reason you would think. Apparently, their CEO thought it would be a good idea not just to change their iconic logo, but also to change what their restaurants look like on the inside. And customers, they're not too happy with it. I'm going to put on my marketing guru hat and give you my three reasons why I think it didn't go so well.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com, where you can find even more articles and different subscriptions unlock different perks. So thank you in advance to all who do that. A colossal disaster. That is exactly how I would describe the rebranding of Cracker Barrel. And why did that happen? A lot of restaurants have changed what they look like over the years. For instance, McDonald's, they went from their iconic play place sort of style of restaurant to one that looks like just a place everyone would go to eat. Same with Taco Bell. They kind of copied McDonald's, shifting from their sort of hacienda style restaurants to a sort of modern looking place to eat. Even Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut used to be a place where you can go eat at the salad bar, sit down and relax. They had those iconic red cups. And now most of them are just a place where you just go to pick up pizza, no different than Little Caesars. Yet, every single one of those made a good transition from what they used to be. Now, people like to complain about it online. I always see these memes of the McDonald's play place version next to the modern one and say, look what they took from us, stuff like that. And granted, I even like the old designs better. I think that they look way more unique. But people still eat there. I occasionally still pick up a burger from McDonald's. So, why was it a disaster for Cracker Barrel? Well, you wouldn't know from asking their CEO. She seems to be in total denial that anything is going wrong. Julia Massino, she seems to say, hey, everything's going great. She went on Good Morning America talking about how everyone is loving it. And even after social media backlash to that, she doubled down in a statement and saying it was a vocal minority. Well, the stocks tell a different story. Their stock price was already going down because of other mistakes the company has made, and I'll let other businesses talk about why that is, but there was a sharp drop after the new logo reveal and even the inside of the restaurants when photos of that started going live. You saw, I think it was something like a 14% drop off from their already steady decline. So what's going on? Why is Cracker Barrel under so much pressure and people are saying I'm going to boycott if my local one turns into this? If they take down the iconic logo, I won't go there anymore. Why is this happening to Cracker Barrel in particular? Okay, so to start, I think there are three reasons why, and this is just my own personal opinion, being an outsider looking in. Feel free to disagree with me and let me know what you think in the comment section below, especially if you're a fellow marketer. I would love your perspective. Number one, they didn't poll the right people. And you can kind of see this effect on other companies, Disney being the biggest example. But Cracker Barrel did the same thing. Instead of trying to poll and get a gauge for what their customers want, their regulars who could bring new customers to them, they decided to poll people who don't even eat at their restaurant. And this is a mistake all of these companies make, whether it be Disney or Warner Brothers, or sometimes even companies you don't expect, like Cracker Barrel. They don't go to their customers and say, hey, what is lacking here? They go to outsiders who have probably never stepped foot into their business and say, hey, what would bring you in? And that's why I believe the Cracker Barrel CEO, and I made a joke about she polled the marketing team who was behind this. This is what really happened. They went to a bunch of Gen Z, probably soy latte sipping people, and were like, hey, what would get you inside of a Cracker Barrel? And they probably said, oh, well, get the old man off the logo and make it a fancy new font. And when you need more metal. There's so much wood in your stores, Cracker Barrel, but there's so much wood in your stores. Make everything more metal. Take down those old timey photos, get rid of some of the stuff in the store, and just make it more metal. That's what we want. One of the things that was a pull to Cracker Barrel is it kind of reminded you of the restaurant your Meemaw would take you to in her hometown, right? And that's why I kind of liked Cracker Barrel. Now, I hadn't eaten in one in probably 2 years, but when I did eat at one, it did remind me of that old diner or that old buffet that one of my relatives would take me to when I would visit them in their hometown. And that's what reminded me of Cracker Barrel. Well, now it just looks like any other sandwich shop you could go eat at. They completely erased what made it unique, what pulled people in. So, yeah, they pulled the wrong people. They went after those new customers, and as a result, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, they alienated their current customers. They should have gone to their customers and said, hey, listen, how can we make things better? We need to turn around here. What do you think? What would you like to see from Cracker Barrel? What would get you to bring your nephews, your nieces, your sons, your daughters, your grandchildren back to our restaurant? Number two, they didn't focus on the restaurants. That is a key thing here that I am seeing with a lot of these companies who are doing these sort of what has been called woke rebranding. They want to make everything so bland. What they should have done is worked on the upkeep and the quality of the menu at these Cracker Barrels. And this is something that I think worked in McDonald's and Taco Bell and Pizza Hut's favor. So when they did their restaurant redesigns, trying to make them look more modern, they still had a couple things going for them. That being their menu items. You can only get a certain type of taco or gordito or a Mexican pizza at Taco Bell. You can only get a Big Mac or a McRib at McDonald's. You can only get personal Pizza Hut pizzas from Pizza Hut. And they're not even the only ones who do personal pizzas, but that Pizza Hut mini pizza has a certain reputation. Cracker Barrel had nothing like that on their menu. It was just Southern comfort food. And there's nothing wrong with that. I grew up in the South. I love Southern comfort food, but they didn't have an item that was uniquely theirs that people talked about. I'm not saying they don't have unique items, but they weren't as famous as the Big Mac, right? They weren't as famous as the Whopper. So they should have focused on their restaurants. They should have focused on cleaning them up, making them look sleeker, but not more modern. And they should have reprioritized the quality of the menu. And I think that that would have served them way better than a total overhaul. That's what they should have done. That's where they went wrong. And I really think that that hurt them. They should have just focused in and said this. A great comparison is Norms. So Norms is this diner that I used to go to in California. And they have a very similar menu to Cracker Barrel, just with a lot of key difference. Norms is more breakfast food. One of the things Norms makes a big deal about, especially in their advertising, is their eggs. Sunny side up. That's how you order it at Norms. When you go in, they say, what would you like? Eggs. How would you like your eggs? Sunny side up. That's what you say to them. Cracker Barrel didn't have anything unique like that, and I think that really hurt them when it came to it. They should have focused in on the restaurants themselves to grow it. And this kind of ties into number one, but I did want to talk about it. They alienated their customers. I'm speaking very generally, but they alienated that crowd. They like those kinds of food. They want that kind of food, that kind of old style way of Americana that is cooking. Like I said, good old fashioned Southern comfort food that tastes real good. And like I said, Southern food has origins from all over the place, but to the people who eat it, like myself, it is unique. And they alienated those people by bringing in and pulling a bunch of people that don't eat at Cracker Barrel at all. And so they chase them away. And you see this happening with all these other companies. And again, Disney is a huge example of this, right? They had Ewan McGregor do a reel where he was mocking fans for not liking the sisters in Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? That's what they do. They want to chase them away. So yeah, that's basically what I think happened. They alienated their customers, chasing a demographic that doesn't even eat at their restaurant. Yet they could have used their old customer base to bring in those new customers, but because they alienated those old ones, they're not bringing in, and I mean old by their old customer base. I don't mean the people there that are old. Obviously, I eat there, right? Or at least I haven't for a while, but I do eat at Cracker Barrel every now and again. Point is, I think that was a big problem that they happened. They pulled a Disney, they pulled a Bud Light. We're going to alienate everyone, and we're going to blame you for not going. Although Cracker Barrel CEO, she is trying to pretend like everything is okay, even after a 14% drop in an already declining stock price. So we're going to see how this plays out. If you were to ask me, do I think that she should resign or be fired for cause? Yes, that's a pretty big drop. I've never worked at a company. Well, I take that back. I have worked at one company where someone made a colossal mistake like that and kept their job. I don't know how they did. To this day, I haven't figured it out. They even got promoted later, I found out after I left that company. But it does happen. So who knows? Whatever the case may be, I do think that they can course correct. They just need to stop with the renovations, and they need to immediately go back to their old logo, because I think they'll see a swell of support if they do. They need to drop this, because what's going to end up happening is their stock price is going to keep dropping. They're going to end up in a lot of debt, and they're going to be swept up by some conglomerate who's just going to slap the old logo back on there anyway and close a bunch of the stores. Either way, it's in their favor to change back. And that is my professional opinion. If you liked that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment to what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell to get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. And don't forget, when you interact with me, that actually helps me a great deal with the YouTube algorithm because of all these changes YouTube is making. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I appreciate it when you leave me comments and interact, like liking and whatnot. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com. The link is in the description of the video. You can support me there by signing up for different subscriptions, and I have different tiers that unlock different perks, including being able to pick the topic for the vidcast and also the website. So that's pretty cool. Now, limitations apply, obviously, but I appreciate it, and thank you to everyone who does it. At the aforementioned website, there's a conveniently titled Buy My Book section where you can purchase one or all four of my book. You can pick them up from all over the place, but they're all available on Amazon. I hope you check them out and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
'Cause I've been living life right like I